Welcome to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, FP Santangelo Jr., Russell Jackman, and we're not sure if Vern's going to join us today. I don't know if he was at the Super Bowl, but but that was in Glendale, California. That's where my daughter is, Glendale, Arizona, and he's from the Bay Area, so that's not a long plane flight. So we'll see if he can make it today. And since the Super Bowl is over, now let's get into basketball. We will have basketball as the theme, right, Russell?
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, I mean that's our trivia theme today. All right, obviously we'll talk about the Super Bowl that just happened a couple days ago. We are recording this show on Tuesday, 2 days after the Super Bowl. Talk a little bit about the Blazers and Gary Payton. Want to get your feel for what happened there. There was I don't know if you guys read about a Philadelphia Eagles special teams player who is sued and won a malpractice case against a couple of surgeons. I was just reading that this morning. It's kind of interesting. Kind of wonder what's going to happen. Also, I noticed that there was no crypto commercials at Super Bowl this year. I wonder why.
Weird. Huh. There's no celebrity endorsements? What?
Yeah, I don't get it. It'll be very interesting to see what happens in the future on celebrity endorsements for anything other than, beer or something really like, okay, can I go? I mean, can you imagine the agents going, hey, listen, we got to be really careful about this one or that one? Well,
I did see Adam Driver, I believe, for H&R Block. So there's a few out there that still are financially tangled in celebrities, but
okay. Well, at least H&R Block's been around for a while, and
a little bit longer than crypto.
Yeah, just a little bit. It's funny because we used to kind of kid about H&R Block, but I understand that they actually have a good training program. So I was very surprised at how the training program was actually pretty decent. All right, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with FP Santangelo Jr. and Russell Jackman. FP, what do you got for us?
All right, guys. So you might not know this, but this little game called the Super Bowl happened over this past weekend. The Kansas City Chiefs beat the Philadelphia Eagles 38-35 in a really good game.
Yeah.
That some would say it came down to a call. But let's get to the viewership numbers, and then we can get to the call maybe towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
The viewership numbers, this is Sports Econ 101.
Yep.
113 million people watched it, okay? And that is only 1 million shy of the all-time record. That was in 2015 when it was the Patriots versus the Seahawks. And, of course, about the play at the goal line. That's probably the all-time worst play call ever that you've ever seen in a Super Bowl. But getting off topic here, really, really good. And something that me and Edward were talking about is that Rihanna's halftime concert actually got 131 million. So almost 20 million more viewers than the rest of the game. And I want to go on a limb. I haven't confirmed this yet, but I think it's irregular, but I think it happens because once you have superstars like Michael Jackson, when you have superstars like Prince, when you have international fame, those numbers start to skew and tip in certain.
And I'm gonna go out on a limb myself, and I'm gonna guess that it's really the women who are tuning in for that, because most of the guys are tuning in not so much for the halftime show but for the game, and then they'll enjoy the halftime show. But
that's a great point, Edward, and it's actually funny. I've talked to somebody about this in the NFL circle. They are targeting their hardest demographic to get is 16-year-old to 35-year-old white women. They cannot target that demographic. They're having a real tough time, which is really funny because you'd think that a lot of men would drag their girlfriends or wives to watch the games, but absolutely not. In a lot of these cases, they cannot get that demographic.
Well, it's interesting. Like in real estate, what happens is they talk about how nobody goes to open houses during the Super Bowl unless it's just the women checking out the houses ahead of time, and when the next weekend comes, that's when the real estate season opens up, because now guys are going, okay, well, there's no more football on. Okay, so do you want to drag me around to look at houses? Yeah, that's been going on.
That's really interesting. Yeah. That's really interesting. But let's get back to the game at the end of the game. Russ, I got to get your thoughts on that holding penalty that kind of swayed things everyone's kind of up in arms about.
I thought it was legit, and you can't hold a guy after 5 yards. So the player even admitted that he
Yeah,
did
he
it.
did it.
You
Yeah.
know,
James Bradbury, the cornerback.
I don't see there's much controversy in it. Over in my
No,
opinion,
it's just frustrating that it's like it came down to this boring. I mean, I don't want to say boring, but it's like you had this really exciting game going back and forth, and then go, oh, I mean, now you just kind of know the game is over because they're just going to go ahead and run it down and kick a field goal.
So I will say it is disappointment, number one. And I kind of experienced something similar last Super Bowl when there was that holding penalty call on Cooper Kupp. When it was 3rd and goal and it looked like it was about to be 4th and goal. And it looked like a phantom hold a little bit, but Cooper Kupp kind of got turned around at the goal line.
Yeah.
It was very, could have gone either way. It's kind of like the boys play situation.
Well, as Jim Rome would say, scoreboard. I mean, it shouldn't come down to one field goal. If Philly has this legendary defense, where they're up by 10 to go into the second half. And by the way, I think Kansas City, that's exactly what Kansas City wants. They want to be down by 10 to go into the second half. Yeah. They can turn around and score another, 30 points after that, basically.
Well, Russ, that's a good point you bring up. So this legendary Eagles defense that was on pace, I think they're 3rd all time in sacks as a team and crazy stats like that, right? They were allowing 6.4 yards per play, which would have been higher than anyone's ever allowed on average this year. So that's how crazy Patrick Mahomes in this Kansas City offense was. An injured Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Kurt Schilling with the bloody sock.
Oh my goodness! Talk about his legacy now, guys. He's automatically, I think, an all-time great because multiple Super Bowls as a quarterback is crazy. So young.
Yeah.
I mean, if his career had to end tomorrow, knock on wood, it does not. He's still a Hall of Famer, which is crazy to say at 27 years old. And, we're seeing quarterbacks now play till they're 37. I don't know if he's going to pull a Tom Brady and play till he's 45, but he can at least play to his late 30s. So he's got 10 more years of this. Yeah. He's really fun to watch. It's awesome.
And he's not controversial either. He just is a likable. I don't know anybody who doesn't like him.
Well, the only controversy, unfortunately, is with his family. It's with his fiance and now wife, who is popping champagne bottles on people below them in previous games, and his brother Jackson Mahomes, who's TikTok famous for known to dancing in inappropriate times. So it's like his family is kind of like
you gotta keep the family under wraps.
Kind of cringe sometimes, but it's not his fault. It's not his fault.
And look who's joined us, Mr. Glenn. How are you?
Hey, did I miss anything? Was there some game or something like that? Is there? Just waking up after a long nap.
Yeah, just a little bit. We were talking a little bit about the Super Bowl. It's funny.
78 points scored, and it was just a thriller all the way to the end. Yeah. And boy, what is in that needle that Patrick Mahomes took at halftime? Because whatever it was, it comes out.
I want me some of that.
He completed 14 of his next 15 passes. And then has that, a run that nobody saw coming, a scramble on that bad ankle and all that sets everything up. And I know people are making a big deal out of this holding call at the end of the game, but the guy that held said, "Yeah, I did it."
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Can we just talk about the Eagles real quick and how cool it was? The entire team came out and said that's not the reason why we lost the game, and they were all together as brothers saying that's not an excuse why we lost the game. I thought that was so refreshing and so cool, and that's a testament to that locker room right there and that culture. That was awesome. Yeah,
it is a little frustrating that the pass probably wouldn't have been caught anyway, but I get it. You still got to call the penalty. But for those people who
he saw it first and then he threw it and then pointed. So
yeah.
You gotta fix your mic, for it keeps going out.
It goes in and out.
Here. I'll explain when I return. Hang on.
Okay.
Okay. So the interesting thing for people who say, oh well, the refs wanted the Chiefs to win. If you go back, there's a couple of calls that did not go the Chiefs' way. The fumble. That they said no, it was incomplete.
Well, I thought that was an incomplete pass, and it would have been really difficult to overturn. I thought that the game plan, it was clear that the NFL got to these referees and like, hey guys, the AFC and NFC championship was a disaster for you. You called way too many penalties. Let these guys play and let them decide the game. And I thought they called a fantastic
They
game
did actually
until that one call happened, and it was just circumstance. You know what I mean?
Well, the
But
call was
I think
legit.
go ahead, Russ.
The call was legit. So
that's the thing. Yeah, it could have been maybe a ticky-tack foul, but again, if you've got the guy admitting it, then
if they don't call it, then we're spending most of today talking about, it's the obvious holding call they didn't call on.
But again, I don't think the pass would have been caught anyway. But still, it would have been interesting to see what ended up happening.
I think that's the only argument that somebody can have is that the pass wouldn't have been caught anyways. But besides the point, I thought the game was reffed fantastically. I thought it was a pretty decent Super Bowl. Some people were saying it's one of the great ones. I'm not sure about that, but it was still really good.
Good. All right, guys, we're going to cut to our first. Yeah, Vern's all set, ready to go. First of all, let's hear your. Can we hear you fine?
Hello?
Yeah,
there it is. Why is it that this always happens to me on Ring Central and on Ring Central's competitor? Never happens at all.
I don't know. That's a good point. Okay, so we're talking the NBA here, and I'm going to start off with an easy question, and then actually these aren't too hard because I know Russ hates when I bring basketball from the 1600s into play here. Okay,
this is the man that asks the questions and already knows the answers.
Of course, yeah. If I get it wrong, that's really embarrassing. Okay, who is widely credited with creating basketball, and what was used as the first hoop?
Okay, I know that.
Okay.
That's not too hard for those basketball fans out there.
Okay.
That is our first trivia question. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com. The answer to this question: who is widely credited with creating basketball, and what was used as the first hoop? All right, stick with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown, FP Santangelo Jr., Vern Glenn, and Russell Jackman all here today. All right, our first trivia question: who is widely credited with creating basketball, and what was used as the first hoop?
Some might say and give credit to Fog Allen, but everybody credits everything. Credits James Naismith, who used a peach basket as the first hoop.
That is the answer we were looking for, because it's just like Abner Doubleday. People say he didn't do it. Okay, so FP's shaking his head no.
That is incorrect, my friends. The first hoop type game was played in Mesoamerica 3,500 years ago by the ancient Mayans.
Mayans, okay.
Yeah, but what was his name? Mr. Mayan?
There is no name.
Okay.
So the Mayan culture, they played the first hoop type game where you had to get the ball through the basket.
Okay.
And it's made out of concrete. You died. It's made out of concrete. And then if you lost, you got sacrificed.
Yeah, you died. Yes. So
you know what? I think we should bring back those rules.
There'd be no players.
But we're not gonna have too many players left after that.
I want to know about the player bargaining agreement, how that would go down.
Yeah, the collective bargaining agreement.
Well, I guess we'll have to give you guys both credit, because that's why I said who is widely credited. Same thing with like baseball. Who's widely credited is Abner Doubleday.
And it should be the British, by the way.
Yeah, for
Rounders was the first game, and it was a schoolgirl game. The girls played it. The girls played baseball before anybody. It was called Rounders in schoolyards in Britain.
Now that I knew it was called Rounders. I didn't realize the girls, but I did know that during the Civil War, they really played a lot of baseball. They were waiting between war. Yeah. Do you know that back in the Civil War, there were times when families who, let's say the older people who were not actually fighting themselves, would come out with picnic baskets and chairs and watch the war. I guess that there was nothing good on TV back then.
Yeah, people think Netflix is bad. Come on.
Okay, all right, guys. Oh, we're gonna have fun today. Just wait till I get to my thoughts today. You're gonna love those.
Oh, I can't wait.
Okay, so we're still stay with the football for a minute here. So, the Super Bowl. Okay, so it was the most streamed Super Bowl ever, because you got to figure that streaming is getting more popular. So I wonder if, what's the future look like for that? I mean, are people going to not watch TV anymore and just watch streaming?
That's very interesting that you say that, Edward, because I'm sure you guys noticed it was a billion ads for this, but the NFL Sunday Ticket is moving to YouTube TV. That's a streaming service. Okay.
Yeah.
This was a huge, huge deal this year if you didn't know about the business of what was going on with this. So DirecTV has always had the Sunday Ticket. For the first 3 to 4 weeks, they had huge outages. It was a disaster. So the NFL found a way to get contractually out of their contract with DirecTV and immediately signed on with YouTube TV, a streaming service.
Wow.
This could shake up everything. This really can. It could be huge. It could be ginormous. You're going to see streaming on smart TVs everywhere. You're going to see it on laptops. You're going to see it on phones. You could have already done that, but it's on a more accessible platform called YouTube that everybody knows about. You don't have to have a weird password on NFL.com. You don't need this. You don't need that. It's just going to be right there for you.
Does that count?
YouTube TV.
Yeah. Does that count for viewership? Like, will that could be counted?
Oh yeah, it's easier. It's a lot easier for like
So,
from a
I guess that's what I'm
background.
getting at is like let's just say it was on Fox, right? So if you get too many people viewing it on their own streaming service, YouTube, etc., then like what's the viewership going to be on Fox?
So it could have it right eventually, and I think that's what's going to happen. But you want the data that a streaming service provides, because I can find out, and this is very creepy, but I've been able to do this with podcast information when I was working over at KMBR. I can find out that you're a Latino male, 24 years old, that lives in a specific neighborhood in San Jose.
Oh my
And
God.
I can go around and find everybody, like everyone. And I have all the demographics there, because when you sign up for YouTube or you have a Gmail account, it allocates all this data through cookies and makes assumptions about your race, your background, your age, all that stuff. And I know who you are. And I can market to you specifically. The commercial breaks too at YouTube TV can be tailored to you specifically. Right?
Yeah.
It's going to be an algorithm. It's not going to be like the Super Bowl commercials. It's going to be the YouTube commercials made for you.
Which is good because the Super Bowl commercials stunk this year. They were terrible. The
Say
Super
again?
Bowl commercials were terrible. Most of them.
Most of them, yeah.
You know, they keep going down. Considering how much they're spending on them.
I know. What was it? 7 million for, was it 30 seconds or 60
Yeah,
seconds?
7 million, 30 seconds.
7 million for 30 seconds. Boy, you got to talk really fast.
The number one rated Super Bowl commercial was the one called Forever, and that was the one where you had the dog that grew up with the woman through her childhood, her marriage, her baby, and then the dog gets older as she evolves as a woman. That's that was rated number one.
What was the? I don't. Again, you get busy. I was at a Super Bowl party, so I kind of got busy. What was the theme of that? Like, whose commercial was
dog
that?
food?
Oh, for dog food.
It was for dog food. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing that's sweet about that kind of stuff is it's like the sentimental memories, It's like the Clydesdale for Budweiser and stuff,
Yeah, it
That's
plays
great.
to the, I think the pathos, is it? The emotional side, the emotional feel.
The NFL flag football one, that was big, where the girl was running and nobody could catch her. They're trying to grab grab her flag. That was up there.
The one that I thought was most interesting, coming from a marketing standpoint and a business standpoint, is that 3 competitors joined up for one commercial.
Oh,
and that was the beer commercial when they're like, this is a Coors commercial. No, this is a Bud Light commercial. No, this is a Blue Moon commercial.
There you go.
And now you have 3
ways.
competitors that basically split it 3 ways for a commercial. They're like, wait a minute, 3 competitors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's very similar. It's very similar to, hold on, it's when it's like when you go to, for people who don't know, going Highway 80 up to Sacramento, on the side, you'll have a place where you can get, Wendy's, Burger King, McDonald's, and a lot of Taco Bell. And people think, gosh, isn't that kind of stupid to have it? No, what ends up happening is it's a destination place. And you got to figure if there's too many people in McDonald's, I'll go to Wendy's.
Yeah.
So they purposely try to get them together like that. And so saying that's really smart. I mean, $7 million, and that's probably a good commercial. And yeah, it's really smart. Really
I remembered it. So what were you saying, Russ?
Yeah,
the one that our crowd got was the Workday one, which had all the old rock guys that were doing it.
Oh yeah, that was big.
But then the next day we found out that this HR company that does HR software fired like 20% of their workforce so they could have enough money to make that commercial.
Wow.
Ooh, nasty.
Makes you wonder.
What about
Yeah,
that? Now the one with Ben Affleck and J-Lo.
That was big too. That was on the list.
That was
Yeah.
funny. I
Yeah,
actually,
that was Dunkin'
enjoyed that. Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts. Yep.
Oh man, it's amazing to think who's got the money for those kind of commercials. You know, these places you go, what? That
well,
yeah,
what they had to
Dunkin'
fire
Donuts is
20%
big, but
of their workforce to afford the commercial.
well,
They-
but not every company did that. But yeah, that's
Well,
kind
the thing, the crazy thing too is the production in it too. Like you have to hire actors for a lot of those commercials. You gotta have to have editors. You have to have a director. So I don't know if you guys noticed this, but most of the commercials were just still images. They're just playing images slowly in black and white or something because that is very cheap to make.
Oh yeah.
not
Can
as
you
much as
imagine?
CGI.
Can you imagine being a worker for some company and you get what they call a pink slip, and the reason is we have to cut you out
Right.
because we have to make a Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah, that's what
we
happened.
need the money. Oh
It's
man.
happening. It's
What,
I mean,
what was
it's-
what was the controversial one where it started and then like 10 seconds in it looked as though it had lost transmission and it went and it went to
yeah.
like a menu, whatever. People actually thought that was real.
Tubby
Yeah,
TV or something.
yeah.
Yes.
We actually thought there was something wrong with our TV.
Yes.
Yeah, someone was like, "Stop playing with the remote."
Yes, that's exactly what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were talking before, Vern, that we didn't see any crypto commercials.
Any
How
what?
come?
crypto.
Oh, crypto.
Crypto, yes. Crypto
Yeah.
night is what happened.
Yeah.
Just staying on football and the Eagles here for a minute. Former special teams for Philadelphia specialist Chris Maragos won a $43 million malpractice case against two surgeons. And apparently they suggested, I'm just going to summarize it here. They suggested a quick rehab, like he was like a meniscus or something, and he was starting to okay, go ahead, start running for your rehab. And it did more damage than good. So it prematurely ended his career. And I'm wondering, like, what's going to happen with the future of doctors suggesting when to play again? I mean, you know what? Sit on the bench for the next 9 months, you know, because I don't want to get sued, right? I mean, that's pretty nasty stuff. Tell you what, okay, you guys ready for our second trivia commercial here? This one's kind of interesting. Okay, we're talking the NBA. How many teams, now this is through the 2004-2005 season, so I'm not sure if we even added any more teams since then, so it's a little older commercial, but you'll know the names though. Okay, how many teams by the 2005 season, we'll call it, did not end with the letter S? So like Warriors ends in S, so that's not one of the teams. So how many teams, and you got to name them, all right? So I'll tell you there's more than one. All right, so I thought this one's kind of interesting.
That are not
Wait, by 2005, there was only one?
No, I'm just saying how many were there?
Okay.
How many were there? And you got to name them. All right, that's our trivia question. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with FP Santangelo Jr., Vern Glenn, and Russell Jackman. By the way, we forgot to mention this show is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, still providing mortgage investments, currently yielding over 7%, secured by real estate. Check them out, pacificprivatemoney.com. All right, here's our trivia question. How many teams by the 2005 season did not end, as NBA teams, did not end with the letter S?
two.
Let's hit. Okay, Vern says 3. Russ says 2. FP?
I got one.
1. Mr. Vern is correct.
Ooh.
Vern, okay, go ahead and name them. Heat?
Magic, Thunder.
Oh,
Crushed it.
that's number 4, actually, then. Wow. Okay, because Jazz.
Oh,
Jazz.
Wow. Okay, so this question is wrong. Yeah, because the Thunder, they were around 2005. Sure.
No, I
Maybe
think it's
not.
still the Sonics.
Were they still the? You
Oh,
gotta look
okay.
up when the Sonics moved to Oklahoma City.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I said 2005. I was gonna say
2008.
Came up with this. What's that?
2008.
2008. the
Ah,
Sonics
okay,
became the
okay.
Thunder.
Well, Vern, you got half the question correct because you did say
Okay.
3, and that was correct. You just had the wrong one. Okay, so yeah, okay, very good. We got that. Did you guys see?
So Heat, Magic, Thunder, Jazz. So there's 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, now there's 4. Yeah.
I had a Vietnamese roommate who always used to pluralize the city and singularize the mascot. So it'd be
Oklahoma's
Miami's Dolphin.
Miami's Dolphin. I know.
That's just
It's like
their
whenever
language, right?
whenever I call and someone says, "Okay, what's your name?" I said Edward Brown, and they say, "Okay, well, Mr. Edward." Blah blah blah. It's like
Yes.
Yeah.
close enough. So Juju Smith-Schuster, apparently he didn't know that he was going to get a $1 million bonus for playing at least half of the offensive snaps and the Chiefs winning. Did you guys see that? Apparently, so he's being interviewed by the guys in the front when they go ahead after the game, and one of them says, "Hey, by the way, did you know you got a bonus?" He's like, "No, what?" He goes, "Yeah, you play for more than half the snaps and you won $1 million."
Yep.
Wow.
Everybody gets that on the team.
Man.
If you play more than half the snaps, it's part of the bargaining agreement that you get a paid bonus. So
Oh, so
I
I
think you get a bonus too for just being on the team, being on the roster and winning.
I'm sure.
But I think you get more if you actually play in the game.
Oh, yeah, that's very interesting. Okay, and then also now Terry Bradshaw making a couple of cracks about Andy Reid when he says, "Hey, waddle on over here, big guy," and then afterward, he goes, "Here, have a cheeseburger." And I know it's kind of done sort of in jest, but he got kind of roasted for doing that. Andy Reid apparently, he's a good sport, but
You probably got a relationship there. It's probably not as weird.
Yeah, they've known each other for years. They probably have that kind of.
Okay, so that's fine.
Hey, Andy, that's old guys. Hey, is this going to be it for you? Whatever. So I mean,
okay, so I'm just kind of wondering.
Stuff he had to ask.
What's going to happen with Terry Bradshaw? Or is he going to be punished somehow, even if they have a relationship? No.
Isn't Terry going through something medically?
I think he might be. I think there's something going on there. I think he's going to step away soon. That's like the rumors that are kind of being spread, at least on the internet. I haven't heard anything personally, but the one thing for me post game that was interesting, and I don't know if you guys noticed this, but maybe I'm just seeing something, was Patrick Mahomes when he was being interviewed post game on ESPN was like rolling his head around, like he was really there. Obviously, he took a lot of shots, right? But I always there's famous clips of quarterbacks after they have a huge blow or something. Aaron Rodgers is a famous one. That they go in halftime, they come back out, and then the post game interview, they can't even talk, or they got marble mouth or something. Patrick Mahomes was talking fine, but he was like, his eyes were dialed in and he was rolling his head around to look at everybody on the set.
Now, is that because of a shot that they gave him for the pain during halftime?
It could be a shot. It could be like a cocktail. So I've heard that athletes take cocktails, right? And this is completely legal because they allow them to do this, right? It's for like emergency purposes in big games. That's like a painkiller and Toradol and everything, and you just wrap it up and you just pray it works.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's probably what happened. Because after the game, I mean, all the sets are next to each other. You've seen it, FB.
Yeah.
And so he had to go from Fox, NFL Network. He had to go to ESPN, but they're all those sets are near each other. Because we have a monitor, so we're watching the sports office, and you just see where he finishes up, and then it just walks on over, and then there he is. The takeaway for me is that he stood the entire time on the ESPN interview. I'm like, man, guy with a bad ankle, he's still standing.
Yeah.
But he sat for everybody else.
I was just thinking this too. What is the party like for him after? Because he's already like probably to the moon, right? So is he gonna like go out and drink with his friends after that? Is he just gonna go home? Like what is
you would be surprised. Did I lose you? Oh, here. You'd
No,
be surprised. A lot of these guys, they're just dog tired.
Oh yeah.
Or they need IV or something like that. I mean, they're not. I mean, they just played a full football game, the biggest game that's taken a lot out of them. A lot of these guys don't do much after the game. Once they get back to the hotel, and then everything kind of settles down, and the adrenaline leaves the body.
And then they go to Vegas.
I remember when Steve Young threw 6 touchdown passes in that Super Bowl when they thrashed
San Diego
at the time, and he took copious IVs after the game and went back to the hotel and slept.
Wow, powered up.
Yeah,
strong move.
I can imagine. Wow. Hey, just really quickly, one last thing here I got is so the Blazers apparently didn't tell the Warriors about Gary Payton's core injury in the trade. There was accusations it was being hidden by the team.
Yeah, and the Warriors filed a grievance with the league, and there were a meeting of the minds, and in the end, the trade was accepted, and everybody got what they wanted. But I'm sure down the road, there's some sort of backdoor deal about what the Warriors have coming to them as a result of acquiring damaged goods.
Yeah.
Well, it's just came up Damian Lillard, you know.
I got
throw
one
that
more
in.
quick thing, Edward, before you go to your next trivia question here. The San Diego Padres, I'm sure you guys saw the Fan Fest, it was incredible, are contributing to the ownership pool because they're making so much money for the first time in their team's history. Okay? So think about a small market like San Diego is making so much money that they're actually contributing huge amounts to this ownership pool. And if you don't know, the ownership pool is the money that goes in, made money league-wide, gets split amongst the owners. Okay, so that way everyone's kind of making money. All right, that's
But for
Major
years
League
they weren't making money, so that they should kind of be taking back. But they
But
probably
think
got
about this though, Edward. They just spent the most amount of money this offseason. They're like the top 3 payroll team. And it shows that when you spend money on players, you make a lot of money back.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
What's the difference between what you just told us and revenue sharing?
Yeah, sorry, I meant revenue sharing.
Okay.
That was a complete miss on my vocabulary right there. But yeah, Vern, revenue sharing I meant.
Okay.
So they're contributing the most to revenue sharing for the first time ever. And in fact, they've never ever contributed to revenue sharing before. I was just reading an article today.
So when you have like jersey sales, they get part of that. I gotta think that's don't they?
I think that's part of revenue sharing too. It's way too complex for me, but I thought it was really interesting that a team that fully committed to making these big trades, signing all these stars, yada yada yada, extending guys, they're making money in a small market, quote unquote, San Diego. So,
I wonder now how much the Yankees contribute.
oh, probably
they have to make the most revenue of all of them.
it's probably Yankees, Dodgers, and Padres. But I think the article is saying that the Padres for the first time are actually contributing to the revenue sharing, which is I think it's pretty big. It shows you that they're making lots of money. So,
yeah.
I like that. Very good.
Apologize for butchering the nomenclature though. Thanks for correcting me, Vern.
Yeah. And isn't spring training right around the corner here?
Yeah, this weekend,
Pitchers and catchers just reported.
Yeah, catchers and pitchers have reported, and I believe that I can speak for the Giants. I know their first full squad, I believe, is on the 20th. I know that because we were supposed to go, but
money. So in other words, you don't get
going.
You don't get to do your vacation spring training time, huh?
No.
I'm sorry. We were. I was teasing you last week about how, man, that must be so much fun for you. You know, are you kidding? I gotta
oh, that's my FP. You've seen it. You've seen it. That's one of my top 5 pet peeves in this business. When you're working a Super Bowl or something like that, and it's round the clock, you're gathering content, you're turning it, you're on every show, and it's even worse when you're on the East Coast because the time difference kills you. And so you're in there, you're doing a live shot and all this kind. You're wrapping up, and then the anchors, Ken and Barbie, oh, you must be having so much fun. Oh, on the inside, I'm just like,
it's that, Vern. And hey, can you get me tickets to this game? Like I'm affiliated with the team. It's like, come on, dude. I don't even work for the team. I work for a station. It's like I can't pull strings like that.
Well, also, Vern, it's a lot harder now because you have to do your own camera and editing stuff too, don't you?
In a lot of cases, but in something the magnitude of like the Super Bowl, you have a crew. You got somebody
that at least eases the burden a little bit.
Yeah, but speaking of while we're on the topic of economics, think of the money local televisions saved in the Bay Area and Cincinnati by not going to the Super Bowl. I mean, we had a budget of 50 grand to spend by sending 8 to 10 people to the Super Bowl. But it turns out that that dollar figure was not enough because the prices have jacked up if you want to cover the Super Bowl and work with the NFL. Case in point, when I was in Miami covering the Super Bowl when the Niners lost to the Chiefs, to get a spot on Live Shot Row, you had to pay the league $2,000 a week just to show up, camera, tripod, plug in, bam, you're live. Just use their fiber. Now, $4,000 just to get your little place on Live Shot Row that has the stadium as a backdrop. And then hotels, $600 a night in the media hotel.
And do you
People
ever
don't
get
think
any
about
kind
that.
of influence with them at all? Like, you know,
What's that?
Do you get any kind of influence at all? Like, hey, I think we should really do this, or do they just tell you what to do completely?
No, they go no. And
Okay.
And so I mean that's an incredible amount. Then you got to pay the airfare. You got to be able to eat. You got all this stuff kind of rolls into it, and it's
Even like spring training, just taking a Southwest.
No, but let me finish. If you're not carrying the game,
Yeah,
you're not getting anything out of it, Edward.
Yeah.
no, it's
If
an
you're
unsustainable
CBS covering
model.
a game that's on Fox,
Yeah.
you get nothing out of it. You don't get privy to the
I hear
best
you.
locations, access, all the kind of stuff. You don't get anything. But next year, the Super Bowl's on CBS.
There you go. All right. Hey, guys, cutting to our third commercial break here, talking the NBA. Which team drafted University of Michigan superstar Chris Webber during the 1993 draft? All right. That's our trivia question. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com. Stay with us. You're going to love our thoughts for the day. There's some good ones, okay? Stay with us. Sports Econ.
You're dooming yourself here.
Yeah, I know. I'm putting the pressure on. Okay, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back.
Get off my lawn, guys.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown. For the last time today, Edward Brown here, along with FP Santangelo Jr., Vern Glenn, and Russell Jackman. Our third trivia question: which team drafted University of Michigan superstar Chris Webber during the 1993 draft?
Golden State.
Well,
I hear Golden State.
the Golden State eventually got him, but there was something something to it. Didn't they originally like get Anthony Hardaway?
Yes.
And then they got Anthony Hardaway, and then they did a deal.
Yeah, that's right. And I heard
And
Russell.
then Anthony went to Orlando, and then the Warriors got those rights, and that's how they got Chris.
So
Webber.
you're right. That's right. And I heard Russell finally say it, Orlando Magic, and exactly that's what happened. Anthony Hardaway was drafted, and then they were traded for each other. Okay, you guys ready for some fun thoughts for the day?
Yeah.
All right,
Let's
here we
hear
go.
it, Daddy.
So childhood memories. All right, when I was 7, I got in trouble on the playground at school for throwing a rock at a kid who first threw one at me. My mother said that instead of me throwing a rock back at the kid, I should have gotten the principal. I said, what would that have done? My aim is a lot better than his. I thought you'd like that one.
All right.
Okay. And when I was a kid, when we played spin the bottle, if they didn't want to kiss you, they'd have to give you a quarter. By the time I was 12, I owned my own home. I thought you'd like that one. Oh, all right, guys. Well, and that's our show. So tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, your host. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
Adios.